was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them. Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Welcome into the weekend here. Superstation 101 WYDE kicking off our Saturday of programming here. If you happen to be listening on Saturday morning at the early hour of 5 a.m., the replay for Saturday evening at 7, I take that back, will be preempted tonight because we have a NASCAR race coming up on Saturday evening, but that means that you will get a Sunday replay, and that will happen at noontime. So opportunities do abound for you to check out the Entertainment Roundtable. Josh not going to be able to make it in this week. David running a little bit late, so we are going to go ahead and start without him, and that means that the man behind the board running the show and making sure everything sounds as decent as we can possibly make it is Jeff.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, man?
Oh, the original cast.
Indeed, because that means that the one and only Ryan is on the phone, and it's just the three of us to begin with. Hey, Ryan.
Hello, Steve. How's everyone doing? I'm doing marvelous, by the way.
Oh, I see what you did there. So I take it you had the chance to check out Captain America.
Yes, I did.
Well, we will get a full rundown of that in just a couple of moments. Had the chance on Thursday evening to check out the movie Draft Day, so I can get us a little bit of an idea of that. We'll be talking a whole lot of movie news. We're a little light on the TV side this week. It's kind of strange, but we have those every once in a while where we have just a little bit of news for either movies or television. But you know what? Plenty of ways to work around that. We have no particular agenda. We just want to get you the news that we feel that you're looking for. And where we start is the fact that you can still see any one of these films. In fact, Jeff, you still want to go see Grand Budapest Hotel. You have not had the opportunity yet, from what I understand.
This is true.
So still on the bucket list, but still haven't gotten to it.
That and Noah. Your favorite.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's deal with this top 10, shall we? In at number 10 is Nonstop, still hanging in there, 1.7 million, 88.1. Doesn't look like it's going to break 100 mil. Need for Speed might not break 50 on 1.8 million, 40.8 for them. Sabotage, $1.9 million. This thing hasn't broken $10 million yet.
Ouch.
Does anybody know the Rotten Tomatoes rating for this film right offhand? I think Jeff is going to try and look it up. I don't know whether you know it right offhand. Ryan, do you?
I don't believe I have the exact number, but last time I checked, I thought it was like 23, 22%.
Oh, wow. And I'm going to say this because Thursday night, I was in watching the movie Draft Day, and one of the previews was for Expendables 3, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And it's kind of strange, all the people that are involved. I mean, they keep just throwing names out on the list and so on. And the last one that they throw out there is Schwarzenegger. How things have changed. I mean, Schwarzenegger was such a bankable movie star in the, from what? I guess probably the original Terminator, which was, I think, 83?
I think Conan started it. Right? I mean, and he really hit it big with the Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, from Terminator on for about a decade, or for at least the vast majority of the 1990s, there was very little misstepping. If you put Schwarzenegger in a film, you were guaranteed getting close to, if not well over, $100 million.
Especially when he and James Cameron worked together.
Oh, yeah. And now, good grief. I mean, if this movie, Sabotage, makes $10 million, I think some people will be impressed.
It'll make just under half of its rating. It's 22%.
22% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, I was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were right on it.
Nailed it, buddy.
Up to number 7, the animated Mr. Peabody and Sherman has broken $100 million. $5.1 million in the till, $102 million so far for it. Grand Budapest Hotel still looking good. This is the first weekend since it has appeared in the top 10 that it has gone down in its weekly total from the previous week, but $6.1 million, certainly nothing to sneeze at. $33.2 million there. Up to the top 5, Muppets Most Wanted, $6.1 million, $42 million there. God's Not Dead up at number 4, 7.7 million and looking strong, 32.6 right there. Have to see if one of the movies that comes out not this weekend, but next weekend might affect its box office. Not sure yet. And then your top 3, all of them making north of $10 million. Divergent at number 3, 12.9 million, 114 flat. And then Noah, 17 million, so 72.4. And that brings us to the film that everybody except Josh and Ryan on the show have had the chance to review. Last week, Jeff, correct me, 9.5?
Yes, sir. Strong.
David was right in that same area.
Sure it was.
I was at a 9.25 on that one. My next door neighbor did not give it a rating, just said that he absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Josh has had the chance to see it. He just hasn't had the chance to give his review on it yet. But this was, last week, if you remember, the number 1 overall draft pick. This is foreshadowing of something later on in the show. $95 million in its opening weekend. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, is a record for an April opening?
Absolutely. Plus, it's sitting at a 90% at Rotten Tomatoes. So it is certified fresh.
Okay, so we've got 2 9.5s, we got a 9.25 and an I absolutely loved it, and a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ryan, do you see it the same way, or do you see it differently?
For Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I see things being very well. Scale 1 to 10, I'll give you that right off the bat. I'm going to break all this 9 stuff and break the tie and all that. I'm going to give it a straight 10 out of 10, Jack.
All right, so that pretty much brings the average here just slightly above the 9.5 among everybody who has done this so far.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, as far as Captain America is concerned, I loved it. This thing took Marvel Cinematic Universe to a whole nother level. It was extremely awesome. The actors played all of their roles significantly well. The new additions to the cast with the Falcon, Agent 13, Emily Van Camp, hello.
Yeah.
Some of the nods to the original Captain America film was really cool. Going back into the history of Captain America was cool. Everything from A to Z, from start to finish. Marvel didn't only bring their A game, they brought their A++++ game, Jack.
All right, so you are, needless to say, a big fan of it. And as we've gone through this week, and I don't know whether you've read this as much as I have, but it just seems like every time I look at different movie sites, or quite frankly, if you go onto Yahoo Movies, where I go quite a bit as well, you get these headlines that talk about how Marvel has done this and they've done that, and came across that one that has all the quote-unquote Easter eggs in there. I mean, we noted one that was on the tombstone for Nick Fury towards the end of the film. We all got a kick out of that. I missed one, and I'm so upset about it, but they were actually able to figure out a way to reunite Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Apparently, when he was in his apartment, look for this, because next time I go see the film, and I am going to go see it at the movie theater again before it's out of the movie theaters, apparently when he's in his apartment and he goes into the refrigerator, it is stocked with Newman's Own dressings.
I missed that too.
I totally missed that. That would have been so cool to have been able to know it. But there are so many little things in there to look for that are, as you mentioned, Ryan, little nods to the past, and things that kind of foreshadowing things that may come, dropping of names and things like that. It's so cool. Came across the other one. We mentioned that list. Did you catch that list at the very beginning, Ryan, where he's trying to catch up with some of the pop culture things that are going on?
Yeah, I did catch that. And the other thing is, of all the Marvel films we've seen up to this point, not counting the Avengers, because that's an ensemble piece, that's a different animal on its own, Captain America: The Winter Soldier is by far the best solo Marvel movie we've ever seen.
I think we've all pretty much come to that same conclusion, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's actually a bit of a more solid and well-constructed film than the Avengers was. I mean, the Avengers gave us all the comic book, team-up geeky goodness that we could want. But at the same time, it was, it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually think that, Captain America, it brings, it has some things to say with, current events going on here in America, the climate with, data collection and spying on U.S. citizens and things like that. So I think in my opinion, it's the best of the Marvel movies so far.
Yeah. I can't argue with that at all.
And I'll
I think
add
most
that,
of us have that same opinion.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually did a really good job
of
tying in with it.
Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that, and I realize that we're not necessarily talking TV right now, but we might as well go ahead and mention that in the fact that, no, Captain America does not make an appearance on the TV show. But my biggest complaint, when they tried to tie this in last year, you had Thor 2 back in the fall, and they said, oh, yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to tie into it. And what did they bring you? They brought you a magic stick.
And one Asgardian we had never heard of.
Exactly. And I'm like, really? That's what you're going to call a tie-in? This one, they have stepped up the show significantly on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this tie-in was masterfully done.
I think it was. I agree.
And it had to be because, Captain America changes so much. Particularly with S.H.I.E.L.D. that they're forced to deal with it.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. They had to deal with it.
Good job.
Yeah, we're doing everything that we can not to give anything away in case you haven't seen the film yet. But yeah, they did a masterful job of it. And you do see a little bit of Captain America because on one of the monitors, I think that was it in S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters or was it on the plane? I can't remember which. But one of the monitors showed like a scene from Captain America, Winter Soldier. So that you kind of get Captain America involved, but he's mentioned by name, but you never see him. You never see Nick Fury or anything like that. But the way that they tied it in is very good, and I'm catching where they're making this more of kind of like a serialized thing. They've got an ongoing plot here. And considering the fact, then, correct me if I'm wrong, I know Guardians of the Galaxy is coming up, but this is the last film before next year's Avengers Age of Ultron that deals with S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
I believe it is, because Guardians of the Galaxy is a whole different animal.
Okay, so between now and next year's Age of Ultron, we could find a whole lot of things out about S.H.I.E.L.D. that will then, I would suppose, translate into the movie. So they've got to be working together hand in hand, despite the fact that you got different producers, different directors, and so on involved in this. It's the parent company that is so involved in this. And I will be very interested to see how they weave Captain America through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into Avengers Age of Ultron.
Is we talking about my jam?
We is.
I see.
Well, he just gave his rating for Captain America.
Right.
He gave it a flat 10 out of 10, and we got to, kind of talking about a little bit of the background, seeing some of the Easter eggs that are in there, things that were caught, some of the things that we didn't catch the first time around. And then we talked about, and Jeff brought it up, how this past week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so well worked into the plot and really, instead of what they did with Thor, which was weak, they really collaborated with Captain America and made it work very well.
They really did.
In collaboration with the two. And thank you, by the way, for finally stepping up.
I've seen Winter Soldier 3 times now.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I thought I was eager to go back and see it. Hello.
I had multiple parties that I had to go take because they watched S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, no, you're going to have to see this now.
I like that. I had multiple parties that I had to go.
We couldn't all go at once.
It wasn't like I was being pulled out of my lazy chair and dragged into the movie theater.
Kicking and screaming.
Exactly.
The
Kicking
path
and
of the
screaming,
righteous
going,
man.
yes, I can see it again.
The path of the righteous man, Steve.
Exactly. One of your Easter eggs, as a matter of fact. All right, so have you seen anything else other than Captain America? Or you spent all your time watching Captain America? All right, you've seen it 3 times. Did it change your rating from, you gave it a 9.5 last week, right?
Yeah.
Any change?
No,
I didn't think so.
I'd go see it again right now if I could.
I thought I'd ask just to make sure.
As a matter of fact, I'll see you guys later.
You're here. You might as well stick it out, man. Coming out this week, we'll get to, I put them in alphabetical order, but we'll get back to Draft Day, which does kick it off in alphabetical order in a moment. The movie Oculus, starring Karen Gillan or Jillian?
I think it's Gillen or something.
I think it's Gillen.
It's Gillen.
Katie Sackhoff, horror film about a family hit with a tragedy 10 years ago and the aftermath of it. Yeah. What was your comment last week? Somebody decided to make the worst horror movie ever?
Yeah.
There you go. Rio 2, the animated film featuring the voices of Anne Hathaway, Jesse Eisenberg, Will.i.am, and many more. Second film in the series about a rare species of bird who hears that there are more of them somewhere in the Amazon jungle, so they head off on a journey to go meet them.
I got to be honest, though. Let me throw it out there. Oculus is the second highest rated movie coming out this week.
Oh, really?
It's actually certified fresh.
Yes, sir.
What's its rating?
70%.
70%.
Thus far, I'm sure the more reviews will come in since it's just opening day.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What's the highest rated? Is it Rio 2?
Only Lovers Left Alive.
So we should just stop listening to Rotten Tomatoes then.
I guess. Yeah, really. Rio 2. What are they ranking Rio 2 at right now? Or have they rated it?
A smashing 47%.
That's not very good. What about Draft Day?
59%.
59% for Draft Day, which stars Kevin Costner, Jennifer Garner, Dennis Leary. Film that actually does involve the actual NFL, the Cleveland Browns GM on the NFL's day of the draft, and the moves that he makes, and some behind the scenes intrigue. Did get the chance to go see this last night. Don't expect, if you're going into this, to have this break any new ground by any means, but if you remember Kevin Costner and you think of him well in films like Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Tin Cup, For the Love of the Game, and this is kind of where I have...
Waterworld.
Yeah, no. If Kevin Costner is in a sports film for some reason, that's where Kevin Costner seems to fit best for me.
Sure.
You get your Waterworlds, you get your Postmans, things like that. He just doesn't quite seem comfortable. I mean, take the movie that was out earlier this year, 3 Days to Kill. While he brought a certain charm to it, he seemed a little out of place to me.
I actually did like Postman.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not enough to watch it.
Right.
I watched it once.
I've never even seen it.
Not enough to watch it twice, but
if you're gonna watch it, Ryan, make sure that you've set aside a block of time, because this is an investment. It is a long film,
and make sure that it's time that you won't miss.
Yeah,
they threw in a Tom Petty reference.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Don't do me like that.
Don't do me like that, man. But anyway, so this to me seems right where he belongs. I would say probably the one thing that really kind of bugs me about this, number one, you have to have that token relationship in there, and you have all the strife that's involved with it. So, nothing original there. But the one thing, and I don't know whether this is just me or not, but the way that they were doing the split screen as he's on the phone, as you are watching him go from one place to another and seeing things happening, like he's on the road driving into the stadium on the day that they're going to do the draft, and you then cut to the people that are in the stadium. You now have this split screen, and for some reason the way that they were doing the split screen kind of bugged me. It was just...
So it was like a parody of 24?
No, it wasn't even a parody. I mean, it was just kind of weird swipes across the screen that just didn't seem to... I don't know. For me, I just kind of sat there and went, would you please stop with this way that you're doing it?
Was it sort of like what they did with the Eric Bana Hulk, where they were trying to divide it up into little comic book panels and stuff? Or
no, it was usually just two different scenes on the screen, and you would either split the screen in half, or maybe it was diagonally, but you'd get like an elbow that crossed over the barrier, or he would walk in front of the barrier, they did this at one point in time, as the previously mentioned scene where he was driving into the stadium, and they're showing things that are going on in what they call the war room at the stadium, where they're preparing for the draft. He pulls in, he goes into it, and then they split the screen in 3 spots where the war room is shown in the middle. He goes into the door of the stadium and literally walks in front of the entire scene and then goes into his office.
Okay, so they got an overzealous editor.
Exactly, and it's just odd.
Meta.
Well, look what I can do with my editing skills.
I mean, congratulations on your ability to figure out all the different ways that you can be creative in editing, but please stop!
They broke the 8th wall.
Yeah, pretty much. But the film in and of itself is actually pretty good, if the plot is a little implausible. I'm going to give it it had a pretty good charm to it. I'm going to give it a 7.75. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. And I'm saying this, and I'm knowing the fact that this was my 4th round draft pick in last week's Summer Movie League draft. I'm kind of panning my own film. There's a part of me that wants to give it a 10, and you must go see this film.
Don't worry.
Please shoot this thing over $100 million, but I don't think it's going to get there.
Don't worry. I mean, I'm sure you've already gone over the top 10 while I wasn't here, so you know what Captain America's doing.
Oh, yeah. Captain America will be number 1 next week.
You're good, Steve.
Yeah. Captain America will be number 1 next week. I see nothing here that is going to knock Captain America off there. I would say of the 3 films that are coming out this week, knowing that Mr. Peabody and Sherman is in there, but I would still say Rio 2 probably is going to be the big moneymaker of the 3 that come out this week. That's my opinion.
I wouldn't, really, what am I trying to say here? I wouldn't count Oculus out. It's been a while since we've had a horror movie in theaters.
Yeah, unless you count Sabotage, but that was a horror of a different story. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will talk about movies out in limited release, including the one that's got the highest rated numbers on RottenTomatoes.com. We'll talk about what's coming out next week, get into some movie news. We got a lot of it, very little bit of TV news, so we may end up having like a segment and a half of movie news coming up here on the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101 WIDE.
They do all their own stunts. The Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Hey, what a shock. We come back to ESPN SportsCenter theme, which is one of the many sports themes because they actually do get the ESPN guys, they get the NFL Network guys in on the movie Draft Day as well. So off of your soundtrack to Draft Day, the ESPN SportsCenter theme. Out in limited release, if you happen to be interested, again, check your local listings. Make sure that it's being played near you before you actually try and go out to see it. You got a movie called Cuban Fury that stars Rashida Jones. You got a movie called Dancing in Jaffa, Hank and Asha. Joe, which stars Nicolas Cage, which I have heard. It's got Nicolas Cage in it. It's got Nick Nolte. It's got a couple of other stars in it. And this one, I call it limited release. This limited release is probably like 1,000 to 1,500 screens. It's not like, it's on screens in 3 cities. This one will be out nationwide. You might actually have a pretty good chance to check it out if you're so inclined.
I've heard that it may actually make you love Nicolas Cage again. I've
Really?
read a couple of reviews that say he actually gives a really good performance in this film.
It's about time he took a turn and actually started coming up with some decent stuff again. Let's see, what else do we have here? A movie called Hate Ship, Love Ship that stars Kristen Wiig, Guy Pearce, and Haley Steinfeld, who we're seeing in the movie Divergent right now. The movie that you talked about, Only Lovers Left Alive, that stars Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston, who we know very well as Loki.
Yeah, they're vampires. That's
Is
kind of
that what
interesting.
this is?
I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And finally, a movie that is entitled The Railway Man. It stars Colin Firth, Nicole Kidman, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Big name cast.
Huh.
And big name cast, but I've never heard of the film.
So we got Loki in one film and Professor, what's his name in the other? No, is that Stellan? Yeah, that's Stellan Skarsgård, right? Or
Professor, who are you thinking
from
of?
Thor, Sylvig.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, too. Yeah, you're right. That's him. There you go.
Pretty soon we'll be able to play 6 Degrees of Marvel movies.
Can we do that now?
Probably.
We probably could.
if you want to include the Fox and Sony and all that, you probably really could. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, all of it would be blown up if we get a Kevin Bacon cameo in one of these.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I mean, he was in First Class, so X-Men First Class.
He was,
so,
wasn't he?
Oh, my God. Yeah, we're done. It's all over. All right, here we go. In theaters next week, if you are so anticipatory of it, you got Disney's Bears. This is one of their True Life Adventure series of films. That's coming out next week. A movie called A Haunted House 2. This is one of those spoof ones of horror films. Am I correct? Wayans Brothers or something like that?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. The film Heaven is for Real, another of the faith-based films, which actually comes out on Wednesday, and then the Johnny Depp film called Transcendence. Who got Transcendence in the draft?
That would be me.
You got Transcendence. Okay, so you're hoping that this is going to be good.
Oh, yeah, I hope it makes a lot of bank, brother.
All right. What are we hearing? Anything pre-release? Good, bad, ugly?
It's too soon to tell. All we have now are crickets.
Well, apparently, the guy who wrote it is sort of the go-to guy for sci-fi right now, which we'll talk about here in a bit. With some of the
but
movies.
Nolan's involved in the creative process, and I have no faith in him.
I will probably, of the films that are coming out next week, I think my wife and I are going to go see Heaven is for Real on Wednesday, and Transcendence, I think, is something that I will check out, for movie review purposes.
Yeah, it looks good.
If it's not on my draft list, I'm not seeing it this year.
All right, first up, Ryan, let's go back to Captain America, the Winter Soldier again. You noted a report that recently came out over the weekend box office. It noted something about all of the Marvel films put together. Are we talking just Avengers side, or are we talking Marvel films that also include the aforementioned X-Men, maybe a Spider-Man, stuff like that? What are we talking about here?
Oh, no, we're strictly talking about the Avengers films, the solo Marvel films, all the Marvel Disney property films is what we're talking about here. What I mean by that is that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now the #1 highest-grossing franchise of all time at the domestic box office right now.
Now, are we including the first 2 Hulk films that did not star Mark Ruffalo?
Well, the Edward Norton one counts because that was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, so they're not going to go back to the Eric Bonium one.
No, that was Universal.
Count.
Was that?
Yeah, it was
Yes,
Universal.
it was Universal, right. Okay. All right, so it goes from the first Hulk through all 3 Iron Mans, the Avengers, the 2 Caps, the 2 Thors.
Yes, sir.
And it's the #1 series of all films?
Yeah, of all time at the domestic box office, the top 5 are the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Harry Potter franchise, Star Wars, James Bond, and Batman.
Wow, that's incredible. Since James Bond, it's only been, 5 decades?
Yeah. And 24 or 25 films?
Wow.
Yeah, 24 actually.
24 films for that, and it'll be interesting to see because between now and next December, we've got, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, which will be included in this.
August.
We've got Ant-Man.
I believe that's next year, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's before the Christmas holiday season, correct?
No, I don't believe it is.
No, I think Avengers come.
I know Avengers Age of Ultron is before that, but
Yeah,
Ant-Man does come out. I want to say, wasn't that slotted late summer?
Yeah, I think it was July, wasn't it?
Yeah, it probably is.
Okay, so we got 3 more films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe before I think it was the third one on the list that you just mentioned there, Ryan, Star Wars, and we get Episode 7 coming out.
Right, in December, yeah.
So then we suddenly get to see whether Star Wars still has any kind of pull and how much of a chance they've got at trying to recapture number 1. Because they were number 1, obviously, until Harry Potter came along.
I'm sure they have plenty of pull. I mean, you've got people who actually like the prequel trilogy, but they've garnered a lot of goodwill from folks who didn't with Clone Wars.
The important thing is that they never put them out at the same time because Star Wars will lose.
That's an interesting statement over there, isn't it?
Not to mention it's Disney, so they'll want both.
They're going to want separation between the two.
Sure. But, like, superheroes are just really huge right now.
Yeah. Well,
for good reason, I guess.
Yeah, no pun intended, because if you look at them, good grief, some of them look like muscle-bound. Holy cow. Let's stick with the superheroes here, Ryan.
Muscle-bound, holy cow?
Yeah, really.
I've got a special kind of image in my head now.
Yeah, you should. Sticking with superheroes, Ryan, a planned spin-off of the Spider-Man franchise. Been in work for some time. Apparently greenlit Sinister 6. Is this a go?
Yes, the Sinister Six is a spin-off from the Spider-Man universe and Sony Pictures, and they found their director by the name of Drew Goddard. If you remember that, the Cabin in the Woods, he was the director of that. He's coming into the Spider-Man universe and taking over for that spin-off film.
Drew Goddard's a really good writer.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this?
I'm looking forward to Sinister Six. Let's see these new villains, man. We never see them on the big screen. Let's do it.
Yeah, they had my curiosity, but then they said Drew Goddard, and now they have my attention.
I mean, keep in mind, this is the guy that's writing the Daredevil series for Netflix, so yeah.
Which has got to be better than the film. Not even going to mention that thing anymore. From superheroes to space aliens, and for the longest time, after ABC had canned the original series, and I want to forget about it, but I can't because it's there. It's Galactica 1980. There'd been talk of making a movie based upon the series Battlestar Galactica. Instead, what we ended up getting was 5 seasons from the Sci-Fi Network on the rebooted series, which was generally well received if the final episode is not included in that.
It was at least 85% awesome.
There you go. Jeff, you have found out that the idea of a movie version not dead.
Yeah, according to Variety, Universal is preparing to start work on a Battlestar Galactica film. For anyone who doesn't know it, that deals with spacebound humans trying to fend off attacks from nefarious cybernetic Cylons as they try to find a new home. Maybe the planet Earth?
Maybe.
And it's only 5 years after the 4 seasons of sci-fi series has been done with.
Are they going to build upon that then?
According to this, it's going to be a reboot.
Oh, they're going to reboot the series?
Yes.
With the movie?
Yeah. As mentioned earlier, Jack Paglin, the writer of Transcendence, he's agreed to pen the script for this reboot. And apparently he's a hot property. He's going to be writing Ridley Scott's Prometheus sequel as well.
Now, are any of the producers of the sci-fi series involved?
No, Glenn Larson, the producer of the original 1970 series, is on board with this one. So
God help us.
So I'm going to assume that Starbuck's going to be a man again.
He very well could be.
And he's going to be wearing a white turtleneck and claiming to be an angel.
Yeah, we don't have...
That's possible,
There you go. No word on a director or any casting or anything like that right now. It's just in the very early stages. They're going to get something down on paper, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, now I remember as a kid that I was a huge fan of Battlestar Galactica, and I really enjoyed the sci-fi series. I'll certainly check this out if it comes out. I'm a little curious about the fact that they're going to reboot the movie instead of building upon it, though. Or reboot the sci-fi series instead of building upon it.
If you had to deal with that finale, would you want to build on that?
I might actually try and redo the finale and try and build upon it and go from there.
I'm kind of looking forward to it. If they go back to the 70s designs, I want to see the toaster Cylons, the shiny silver guys.
If they purposefully go like a Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow retro look, I'm in.
Yeah? Otherwise, not?
Probably not.
Okay. Ryan, anything?
I don't care.
Just thought I'd ask. I'm intrigued because this has been talked about for so long. I'll be interested to see if they can actually make this thing work. Ryan, let's get back to you here. A film that will star Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson, and it has nothing to do with either Iron Man or Black Widow, at least that we know of. Tell me about a film called Chef.
Yes, sir. It stars the one and only Jon Favreau, the titular cook who becomes disillusioned with being forced to serve the food to his boss who wants him to serve. Deciding that his creativity is being stifled, he decides to strike out on his own, leaving his post at a glitzy, popular restaurant in favor of opening, well, a taco truck. Not long before his passion for food comes flooding back, there's a number of hungry customers just snaking their way around the block, helping him reconnect with his estranged family. As you mentioned before, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr., Sofia Vergara, and Dustin Hoffman will be co-starring in Chef, and it opens everywhere on May 9th.
Comedy?
Yes, it is a comedy, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. We got Iron Man,
Black Widow.
Happy.
Yeah, and Happy.
All three of them.
Yeah.
It's like we're trying to bring the Avengers into a comedic world and not put them in any... There's got to be references. Doesn't
Iron
there?
Taco.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
There's got to be references in there.
Sharma.
Shawarma. It's a shawarma truck.
I love it. We continue to get more and more news, and apparently more troubling news, it seems, David, about the production of Ghostbusters 3.
Yep.
Despite the recent death of Harold Ramis, Bill Murray reportedly is out of it altogether. All that stuff's going on. Apparently there's even more stuff that people just apparently don't want to be involved in this. What's the latest?
Sony was really hoping for Chris Miller and Phil Lord, the directors of the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, to direct Ghostbusters 3, and they sort of flirted with it, but they have now walked away.
Good grief. Idea. What's the latest thing that could go wrong with this film before we finally decide, you know what, this is a bad idea and we're not going to do it?
It gets made.
It sounds like everybody's afraid of that ghost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very nicely done, sir. All right. From there to a successful franchise, The Hunger Games and Mockingjay, with the continuation of the popular storyline began in book form, translated into 2 very successful movies so far. But there seems to be a little bit of trouble. We knew about Philip Seymour Hoffman. Obviously, they're figuring out a workaround about his death. Now, has an actor either backed out of the role? Who's what role? All this kind of stuff. Ryan, what's the deal when it comes to Hunger Games, Mockingjay, and their casting here?
Yes. Well, originally Lily Robb was about to play the role of that's not it. Commander Lyme, the leader of District 13 and a former Hunger Games champion, but she has since backed out of the role. But Game of Thrones veteran Gwendolyn Christie has signed on to play that role, and she will be taking part in Mockingjay's Part 1 and 2.
She backed out of the role. What, she got better things to do than to go and appear in one of the films that's going to make some really big money this year?
No, it was a scheduling conflict.
So that's Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, correct?
You know, that's a pretty nice position to be in when you're so busy as an actor that you're like, I can't be in the Hunger Games.
I can't be in a film that I know that's going to make $300 to $400 million, but I appreciate the offer. Must be nice, no doubt. All right. News surrounding Jurassic World as well, Ryan. This film set to be in theaters next summer, I believe.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Jurassic World is going to hit theaters everywhere on June the 12th of 2015.
And they continue to add cast members. Who now?
Yes, comedic as well as dramatic actress known as Judy Greer is going to be taking a trip to Jurassic World. We're not sure what kind of role she's going to play yet, but like we said before, Jurassic World, June 12th, you can bring it.
Okay, why are you laughing? Got to ask the question. David's over here giggling. Why?
I'm laughing at Jeff.
I whispered in his ear. We all couldn't hear it. Charlene, she plays on Archer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she does the voice.
Why do I get the funny feeling she will be nothing like her character on Archer on this?
It would be great if she was, though.
It really would. Or if she were like her character on Arrested Development. All right, dinosaur, this is the last time you'll ever see these.
Have we all seen the trailer for Expendables 3?
I saw one of them.
I think you've seen the only one.
I haven't seen, no.
No?
Of course, I haven't seen a single Expendables film, so.
I saw the first one. I have yet to see the second one. All right, third one is coming out and a little bit later on this year. It seems to have, if they haven't already appeared in an Expendables film, every single action star that ever appeared in any kind of an action film in the 1980s is likely going to be in this film, I think. Ryan, do we know anything about, and I use this term loosely, the plot of this film from the teaser?
Bullets.
Yeah, we do. We do know that there's going to be a lot of explosions. Yeah.
Okay.
Sweaty men, things blowing up, guns.
Watching the movie Draft Day, this was one of the previews that was in front, and I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm going, Yep, got that name, and I just kept ticking off 15 names, which, by the way, Mel Gibson, Harrison Ford, Arnold Schwarzenegger are involved in this as well.
Harrison Ford, man.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing a helicopter pilot. I mean, it's not like it's a stretch for him. He's got a helicopter pilot's license anyway.
Hey, Steve, you want to hear a joke?
And Dolph Lundgren's back, yes. But I'm watching this, and I'm watching a whole lot of bullets fly, and I'm listening to a couple of one-liners that are being delivered by various people, whether it's Stallone or Wesley Snipes or whoever it is, and I'm thinking to myself, do I know? I have no idea what these guys are slated to go do in this film.
Do we really need to know? I mean, it hits theaters everywhere on August the 15th.
August what?
August 15th is when this baby comes out, so it's 2 weeks after Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy will stomp it.
Ooh.
It'll still be number one by that point in time. I mean, what comes out the next week? What comes out in the week between?
Oh, I don't know.
Let me think. Lucy comes out, but I don't know whether that's enough to knock Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, wait a minute. I know what comes out, but it's not going to make much bank. The reboot of Ninja Turtles.
No.
They're like, hey, Sly, what do we do with this? I mean, where do we put it out in this great summer? He's got like a raccoon over there. Just put no one knows what the raccoon is. Just do that.
Some talking stick that's named Root or something.
Well, look, there's this other big movie coming out. It's a bunch of turtles.
I know. We could beat the animals.
I accidentally stepped on a turtle one time. He didn't live.
Hey, Rocky had pet turtles.
Yeah, that's true. All right. One more question about this, and then we're going to take a break. Part of the preview seems to lead me to believe that this is going to be the last film in the Expendables franchise. Am I right about that?
I hope it is.
I mean,
there is the Expendables or whatever.
I know that's a spin-off. I'm just thinking of this.
No, the Expendables fell through. That's not going to happen.
Oh, sweet.
All right, then.
There is a God.
When we come back, got to take a break. We'll talk about another franchise, Fast and Furious. We've got Zach Braff dealing with some things. We've got stuff to talk about when it comes to things that you might be able to buy and take home, and then our little bit of TV news. We'll get to all that after we take this break.
They do all their own stunts. The Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Oh, doesn't NBC wish and pine for the days of when The Cosby Show ruled? Of course, that would go back to the time when they really kicked off their sitcom dominance. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a few moments. Still talking a little bit of movies here on the Entertainment Roundtable. Welcome back in. And Ryan, you're a big fan of the Fast and Furious franchise, and we've detailed not too long ago that despite the death of Paul Walker, they're going to continue on. And we knew that they were working on a film number 7, and that's the major workaround that they've had to deal with because he shot a good number of scenes for that already. They now have a release date for it?
Yes, sir. Fast and Furious 7 is going to hit theaters everywhere on April the 10th of 2015.
Now, remind me real quick about how they're working around Paul Walker's death.
They are going to use all the footage they have and put it into the film and then find a way to retire the Brian O'Connor's character.
Find a way to retire his character.
Yeah, like, have him live happily ever after, walk into the sunset type of deal, because they're not going to kill him off, obviously.
I don't know. Well, yeah, that'd probably be kind of wrong to, I don't know, have him die in a fiery car explosion or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless he saves everyone. He sacrifices himself because he loves Vin so much. I mean, this is a romantic comedy, right? I haven't seen any of them.
I saw the first and the second one. I haven't seen any since.
They're bromances, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess to a certain extent you could call it that. David, one more note on trailers here. You've seen something called Scrubs, something that Scrubs star Zach Braff has been working on. It's called Wish I Was Here.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about this.
I wish I could.
You have no idea what it's about?
I saw the trailer, and I still don't know what it's about.
Oh, good.
It looks like there's somebody with cancer, and then there's like a wig and sci-fi elements that I imagine would be purely in the imagination. I really don't know what this movie's about.
So what, did Zach Braff just like throw all kinds of things in a kitchen sink and just pull stuff out? So yeah, I can work that into the plot.
I will say it looks like it has a good DP on it, a good cinematography, but it looks pretty. I don't know what it's about, though.
Who else? Any other stars?
Not that I noticed.
Wow. It'll be full of interesting, unique, and slightly off-center characters making keen observations about their...
Yes, it looks like an independent film.
Oh, I'm
Really?
sure.
This is going to be the new standard for independent films.
Well, that seems to be where Zach Braff has been lately. I mean, I rarely see him in anything that can be considered movie-wise mainstream.
Yeah.
I really like Garden State, though, just because Natalie Portman is so precious in it.
I think the last thing I actually saw Zach Braff in was he was kind of replaying his character in the TV show Cougar Town, which is done by the producers of Scrubs. They had an episode where, and if you're familiar with the show Cougar Town, at the very beginning of it, it's got this billboard, and it shows the title of the show and the map of the state of Florida, and it'll have this witty little saying. At one point in time, one of the sayings was, this is not Scrubs in Florida, or something like that.
Right.
And then they had a whole bunch of the guys and girls who appeared in the TV show Scrubs showing up in just little quick cameos and making some of the characters freak out. And Krista Miller, who is one of the stars of Cougar Town, was in Scrubs as well, and it was just, she was freaking out throughout the entire course of the process. It's one of the funnier episodes of that particular series. But that's really, I mean, other than that, what's he been in?
Nothing.
Scrubs season 9.
All right, then.
Most people don't.
What was the Last Kiss was another one?
Yeah, and then there was that one.
First Kiss or something Kiss.
There was that, and there was the one where he cheated on his wife.
Isn't that every Lifetime movie, though?
Yeah.
Every Lifetime and Zach Braff film.
That was First Kiss or whatever.
Was that First Kiss?
Was that the same one? Same one that you're thinking of?
I believe so. And he sat on our deck for like a week or two.
Yeah.
That was first or last or something.
Yeah.
It was either the Alpha or the Omega Kiss. I can't remember.
All right.
It stuck with me.
We've now given Zach Braff probably a heck of a lot more time than he really deserved. A few films coming out on DVD or Blu-ray, including Black Nativity, Great Expectations, Philomena, Ride Along, The Nut Job, and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty coming out next Tuesday. And if you are a TV series collector, not a whole lot to deal with. A couple of British shows. You got Season 2 of Bletchley Circle and Season 2 of Ripper Street that are coming out on DVD, if you so choose. We have, for so long, dealt with network television to begin with. I feel like changing things up. We're going to go to the cable side first.
And
Ryan, let's start with you. Let's go to the aforementioned Sci-Fi Network, but we're going to talk not about Battlestar Galactica, but about their original series, Defiance. Soon to reappear. Do we know the premiere date?
Yes, for Defiance Season 2, it's going to premiere on June the 19th at 8, 7 Central on Sci-Fi.
Okay, you're learning some things about Season 2. They got a high-profile guest star. Who?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they do. They have the sci-fi veteran Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. She's going to guest star on the show as Pilar Macaulay, Rafe's estranged wife.
Recurring role or one time?
Right now it's just a guest starring role.
I bet you they work that in. If she's willing to do a little bit more work, I bet you they work it in, figure it out. David, over to you. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, sci-fi is her wheelhouse.
That's true. David, over to you. FXX, which apparently has gotten the rights to the parent network's longest-running show, The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
So they got some big premiere planned, or what's the deal here? Are they going to become, the home of The Simpsons and nobody else has it? What?
For August.
For August?
Yeah. They're going to run all 552 episodes consecutively. It's going to be the biggest, longest marathon in history. Yeah.
So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from the time that they start this until their most... Can they get the most recent one that's aired, or they have to just wait until they get to like the last episode of last year?
I would assume they could, but they haven't said anything about that.
552 episodes. How long is that going to take, as they said?
I mean, I imagine it will be up to the latest season because it will be in August, so the current season will be over.
Well, it's 48 a day.
That's going to take the better part of the month.
Yeah, that's why I said for August.
Wow. Well, I just didn't know if I didn't know whether the report had stated when it was slated to end.
Right. I figured there was a reason they weren't putting Louis on FXX, but
that's true too. It's supposed to reappear on FX, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've been seeing the promos for it as well. Over to USA and their original series Covert Affairs, undergoing some slight casting changes. What can you tell us about that, Ryan?
Yes, sir. If you remember the popular television series known as Felicity or Flashpoint, Amy Jo Johnson, a.k.a. Kimberly, the original Pink Ranger, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She's going to be guest starring in a recurring role, actually, As Haley, a National Counterterrorism Center investigator who knows how to stand her ground, a persistent woman, she was an expert at taking control. Haley goes head-to-head with the character known as Augie, played by Christopher Gorham, when the intelligence community faces a united threat. The new season of Covert Affairs premieres on USA Network later on this summer, and it is going to be more phenomenal.
Okay.
Hopefully she'll be better than she was in Felicity.
Well, I never saw Felicity. I never really saw much of her work on Felicity, so I can't comment nor speculate.
Well, she was as bad as she was in Power Rangers.
I never watched an episode of Felicity. I have no idea. Yeah, whatever. David, let's go to HBO and their original series, Game of Thrones. Apparently, it's hit the mark with viewers. Is it enough for that premium channel to keep it around?
Yeah. They have renewed it for a 5th and 6th season. They're saying they promised more dazzling storytelling.
Dazzling storytelling?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It's dazzling.
Dazzling.
I've been dazzled by it.
Are you bedazzled?
Totally bedazzled by Game of Thrones.
I've never seen it, but I've been dazzled already by the previews. I don't know. Not really. I haven't watched it yet.
The previews have not drawn you in?
No.
No?
All I've basically heard is like, hey, Game of Thrones, we have incest. And I just don't want to watch it.
That's what he got out of the previews.
Yeah, that's about it, really. I mean,
Okay.
seriously.
I mean, they're like,
if there's one
they're like,
word I
look-
would use to sum up Game of Thrones,
Incest?
incest.
Yeah, it's like
Sure.
it's like look, war, dragons, incest. HBO.
All right. Enough out of you. The guy who's actually watched the show. Tell me a little
Yes.
bit about this thing.
It's set in the fictional land of Westeros, and it's a whole lot of power plays and political intrigue. But you also have dragons, a little dash of magic. Yes, there's one instance of incest, but it's really good. It's got great actors in a lot of good roles. Peter Dinklage is incredible. My favorite parts of it are the vying for power. You've got a king is killed, and then you have all these different. It's like a war of 5 armies that are everyone's trying to become the king. These different families and houses going at each other. It's a really, really good show.
So you're enjoying it,
especially if you like adult stuff.
Well,
so not for the kids.
In all seriousness, I do
No.
plan to watch it. It is like a bunch of the writers and producers from Deep Space Nine are involved, so I probably will eventually go watch it.
Okay. All right. Well, we put it off too long. Network TV time. And last week, big news, CBS announcing, or David Letterman announcing, that he was going to retire at some point in time next year. CBS, David, has already named his replacement.
Yes, sir. Stephen Colbert.
Wasn't that the gentleman that you were actually plugging for? No, you were plugging for Jon Stewart, weren't you?
No, I said Tina Fey would be good.
Yeah, he said Tina Fey.
Who said Stephen Colbert?
No
Somebody
one.
said that last week.
I said Craig Ferguson.
Yeah, that was my choice.
I don't think anyone actually said Colbert, but I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. And again, they're kind of all getting a little bit younger here. Obviously, you were with the guys Friday morning, this morning, technically, because we're recording.
This will be correct, Steve.
And they said, was it Matt that said something about he felt like this was opening the door for Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes, Matt did say that. He thought this was just a move. They were going to get Colbert in there for his 5 years and then bring Kimmel in. I'm like, whatever.
I don't know if ABC is going to give up Kimmel. He's kind of entrenched over there. I don't know how his ratings are, but I think he's pretty set there. I think ABC's fairly happy with him, if nobody else.
Stephen Colbert is going to crush Jimmy Kimmel.
And Fallon?
That's tougher to say, but I would say yeah.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. Probably, I would say, right about this point in time next year.
He is retiring his Bill O'Reilly character, though.
Okay.
From the Colbert Report.
It's going to be less character and more himself?
Yes.
Apparently.
Okay. Over to NBC, David, and I don't know what the story is here with them and sitcoms. Used to be their strong suit. We talked about the Cosby Show. You go all the way back to the 80s. You had the Cosby Show. You had Cheers, Family Ties. You go into the 90s, and you had Seinfeld, and then you had Friends. And let's face it, when it came to sitcoms, they were dominant. And now lately, it seems like every sitcom they throw out there it's horrible.
Yep.
They've decided that they're going to try and figure out another way to reboot sitcoms. What are they trying now?
Well, they announced this huge. What is it like? It's a contest, really, where people on the internet, they're asking their viewers for pilot ideas.
Oh yeah, that can't go wrong.
We go and you make a pitch online to a certain website, and they're going to basically have like a series, like a big thing of panelists from different producers and whatnot, and they're going to choose like 10 and actually give them money for a pilot.
Wow.
It's Scrunchy and the Duck on NBC.
Yeah, I'm so confused by this.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to fail miserably. Let's talk real quick about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here. Some cameos from like Samuel L. Jackson and others that we're familiar with from the movies. But we haven't seen Kobe Smulders since the season premiere. Is that about to change?
Yes, sir. She's coming back, and so is Nick Fury.
Can't wait. Hopefully that'll happen soon. And
Kobe first, and then Nick later on the final episode of the
then
season.
we won't have to worry about NBC's bad sitcoms. Ryan, where can we find you online, sir?
You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Matthews, at The RPM Show, and at Nerd Society X. If you want to talk movies or TV, come and talk to us.
We'll do it, my man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you 1 week from today.
So looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on the show. You guys take care.
Happy to do it. David, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, talk to you soon, my friend.